Allison. It's Chelsea. So I did rewatch your video of teaching, and I also reviewed your lesson plan just to like refresh myself. So looking at your lesson plan, this is really similar to what I thought in my whenever I was doing an assessment of your top rubric. Is I thought for your pros, which I'm going to start with first, that you did a good job of having a lot of hands-on and interactive portions of your lesson. And according to Wright, especially since science is very like science, if students don't have the opportunity to actually engage in science activities, it becomes very like monotonous, and they hear a lot about about a lot of things, but they don't have the chance to really put what they learn into effect. And so you did a good job of this. Um, Let me see, it's right around here, and you're having the students go through and actually do their um, do their mixtures and everything, and you go around and everybody can see you. Like the students are actually having chances to actually make a mixture and take apart these mixtures during this portion of the like lesson. And we can see it right here. Like you're even like talking to them about how like, oh, like were you able to take it out? Were you like, how did this go? And things like that. And like I was saying, rice is important because a lot of these activities, like you can take advantage of this in science, where like ESL students have the chance to really like put what they're learning to words. And even if they don't know the English like meanings of these words, they'll know in their own head what it means, and like they're still gonna understand based on their own experience. And again, Chex Mix is such a good um part that you did in this lesson, because kids eat Chex Mix all the time, even if they like maybe never had it. They've seen the packages, and maybe even in school snacks before, like they've had Chex Mix of just a mixture of different things. Where and many students are probably like, oh, I like that. Like I like this piece better than I like that piece, so they eat that piece first. And another part you had it is right here, when they were doing the liquids, and actually I think it's right here. They're doing like the liquids part, and the students are, I can tell that they're actually really excited. Like this boy right here, like he looks at his peers and they're really excited to be actually having hands-on activities where they're shaking the liquids and actually seeing it become a mixture. And again, like these are great and exceptional ways that you've made your lesson very interactive, very hands-on, and very authentic. They've definitely made like Kool-Aid, or they've made these juices at home, and it's just an excellent job. um I thought that you could improve this lesson by maybe taking into the needs of your like English language learners, because this was a great lesson, but there wasn't a lot of information about your like the students' L1s or the culture of their home. And if you were to implement this, you could really bring in a lot of what like your students are like using at home. And maybe you did, like, and like maybe I'm just not seeing it from the lesson specifically, and maybe not specifically from the lesson, because now that I'm thinking about it, you did use Chex Mix and you did use Kool-Aid, which for most of your students, like you probably know that they do eat this or drink this a lot, and so they're very familiar with this. Um, but it wasn't specifically mentioned in the lesson plan or in the lesson that that was specifically why you were using this. And also, there wasn't any time where, like, if you knew their back, like their native language, that you could have like maybe like gave a quick explanation of like saying like this. Like in Spanish it is this, but that is not like the same thing here. Or like how in Spanish you may be familiar with this term, and it's very similar to the term that we're going to use today. And if you were able to do that, it would become more intentional. And on top of it becoming more intentional, your students who do become bilingual will become more proficient in the language. And if you knew the culture or the background of your students, you could partner a more proficient language speaker with a like a novice language speaker, and they could really help each other. And a good portion of this would be to bring this up in the lesson plan, because you can't really, say in the class like, I'm gonna partner up like Mauricio with Alonzo, because Mauricio is much more advanced. And again, as like as you've probably heard before, just giving like a brief explanation of your students, either in like the grade level or in the lesson description here, would be super helpful, just so that we know where your students are coming from, and then also we know that you know where your students are coming from, and that you are taking into consideration their strengths and their weaknesses and how they can really form together a cohesive unit. Um, but for the most part, that is my pros and cons of your lesson. Again, I really did enjoy it. I love science, and I did love and enjoy the really hands-on interactive portions. And I think that makes it a really concrete science lesson, especially in regards to English language learners who really do need that time to just like build that vocabulary and the experience and build on their experiences that they have. And again, just focusing more on what English language learners you have in the classroom and how you can better suit and work with them. Besides that, it was an excellent lesson to watch and read about, and I am impressed. Keep up the great work.